Welcome to the 5G podcast.
We're glad you're here.
We hope you enjoy our conversation about God, guns, games, goals, and gastronomy.
Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode.
You sent, or did I send you a pic? No,
you sent me a thing.
Well, you sent me this thing from the Steam Reddit.
Yes.
So we gotta make sure everyone understands where we're coming from.
All right.
Last week, you introduced me, which I definitely think I'm going to get the game. I've been watching gameplay. Palworld has taken the world by storm. #1 video game in the world right now.
It's a Palworld, and we're all living in it.
It really is. And there's tons of content on it, and it looks super fun. And I just want a penguin rocket launcher.
Yeah,
Have you been using that?
I have. It's pretty fun. It's pretty convincing. I've loaded up 3 penguins in my squad. You can have a party of 5 at a time. So I got to have the guy I can ride fast, the guy I can fly, and 3 penguins, right? Because it's one-time use to shove a penguin in a rocket launcher and blast him out.
They're just your ammo carriers.
There's even I have the giant penguin who was like a boss. He doesn't do any more damage, but he looks awesome. Just a giant penguin. I summon him out of my PAL sphere. It's not a Pokeball. And then I just he turns tiny as I jam him in the rocket launcher.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So, Palworld has, within the last week, taken the world by storm. Brand new game.
Yeah.
Had no run-up time to being just amazing, apparently. And it's basically, everyone's saying that it's Pokemon with guns, which, if you look at it, kind of is.
Yeah, it's Pokemon with guns. Or it's a survival game
with Pokemon.
With Pokemon?
It's Rust with Pokemon.
Yeah.
Something. And anyway, so we talked about it on the last podcast, how it was one of 6 games.
Yes, that had broken 1 million concurrent players on Steam. I mean, the game's also out on Game Pass, but at least the Steam has the best stat tracking.
Yep. So it has now taken the #2 spot of all time most concurrent player in a game, and this was not the day of release.
No, it was
right?
The second weekend.
The second
yesterday, I think. Friday or Thursday.
I think you sent it Thursday.
Yeah,
I can look actually.
Thursday night, I believe.
Yep. So a week after release, people are still playing it, and even in greater numbers, right? So, #1 is CSGO.
Yeah.
And then #2 is Palworld now. And then CS2 is #3.
Oh, right, yeah. CS2.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Palworld,
man. They're taking
But good, good for them. 1.82 million in the game at the whenever you took the
when I screenshotted, but then they did actually. I didn't screenshot the new one. They did actually hit over 2 million as well. I think that one was yesterday, Friday, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. So
92% amazing reviews.
I heard 8 million copies on Steam, I believe, was the number I heard thrown out. Again, just yesterday.
Wow. Let's do some quick little math here.
Yeah, I don't know how many developers. So as far as splitting it, but they are indie, so they're a small company.
Well, we'll just say for the company, right? Yeah. So 8 million times it costs.
They had a little 10% sale, so instead of $30, it was $27.
All right, so we'll say that the game costs on average sells for $25, right?
That's fine.
There's no way that math's right.
8 million times $25
is $200 million.
It's $200 million, right? Yeah.
And then let's say divide it by half for overhead and stuff like that. Is $100 million. I don't care how many people are on your team.
That's a pretty good Q1.
That's insane. And that's only Steam.
That's just
It's on Game Pass.
That's on Game Pass. I don't know how the finances work there, and they don't have stats on Game Pass.
That's dumb.
Which is unfortunate, but
wow. Well, good for them.
You don't know how many people are playing plus the 8 million who bought.
Good for them.
Yeah.
there was an article that was interesting.
Yes.
I sent to you. It's about Palworld still, and this was the more interesting thing. It was about basically how Pokemon and the company behind Pokemon,
the Pokemon Company.
I read this article. I sent you this article, and I read it and said like, "Oh, Palworld might be getting shut down, but like, good for them. They made their $100 million and you know, called it good." And you read the same article, and what was your takeaway from it? You had a different takeaway.
Yeah. So, because the official Pokemon Company statement, they say, "We have received many inquiries regarding another company's game released in January 2024. We have not granted any permission for use of Pokemon intellectual property or assets in that game. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on IP and anything related to Pokemon, blah, blah, blah." So the author's take was like, oh no, they're coming after Palworld. Pokemon's going to shut them down. But based on the internet response, I think this is just Nintendo telling people, leave us alone. Because there have been so many people online and on Twitter or whatever. I don't think Twitter is a real place, but many people online complaining to Nintendo, to the Pokemon Company, just like, have you heard about Palworld? It's Pokemon with guns. This is clear copyright. There's a lot of people like white knighting for Nintendo, like they don't already know. The game sold 8 million copies. Like, they know about it.
Yeah.
And so I think those first couple lines are pretty crucial. Of, we have received many inquiries regarding this game. We haven't granted Pokemon assets to them. Yeah, we'll take appropriate measures. We intend to take appropriate measures. I think if they were going to do something, they would have already done it. Because Nintendo in particular is very protective of their IPs.
Justifiably so. It's a huge IP.
Yeah, it's, forget the stats. I think it is the most, like, in terms of all IPs, it's like the most profitable. Like it's made well over billions and billions of dollars, including Pokemon's, I think, their biggest one. So their lawyers, their like legal team is insane. They're always hot on things like this that are clear like IP infringements. This game's been like publicly known for years, actually, and it's in Japan. I found out this week. It's a Japanese game developer, so like close to home, they would even know. They could probably get them on like local laws. They don't even have to
for sure
international IP infringement. So I think they would have shut it down a while ago. I think they've seen it even before it came out and got this big.
Yeah.
And especially now in the week and a half the game's been out. And I think they're like, no, it's fine.
I think one thing that, and to your point here, one thing that's actually helping this indie company, do we even know what is the name of this company?
I think they're like Pal Team or something.
That's hilarious.
They named the company after their first game.
That's hilarious.
You're right, because we should give them a shout out. Pocket Pair. Sorry.
Pocket Pair.
Pocket Pair.
So I think one thing that's going for them, because they are Japanese, is the art style of Pokemon. Americans view it as very Japanese.
Yes.
Right? It's a very Japanese style artwork, right? Same with like Mario.
Yeah.
And like that type of thing.
You tell it's like, that kind of looks like a Japanese animation. Boom.
So if it was an American company making this game, it's like, oh yeah, they're copying a Japanese style of art with these creatures that look vaguely familiar, or not even vaguely familiar, that look pretty familiar.
Some of the side by sides are pretty funny.
It's like, okay, if it was an American company, the Pokemon company could be like,
yeah.
But it's a Japanese company doing a Japanese style of art with fantastical creatures. I mean, how many Pokemon does Pokemon have?
Over 1,000 now.
Yeah. Like, there's going to be some crossover there if you're coming up with something like you can only draw a penguin so many ways.
And it's pretty par for the course, as you're saying, for Japanese culture.
Exactly.
They draw these fantastical creatures.
Exactly. So I think that's a very good thing for this.
Good thing. Yeah.
What was it?
Pocket Pair.
Pocket Pair. So that's my. I was just thinking about that.
I think they will be A-okay, considering. I don't know if this article already knew about it or if this broke after. There was just a random modder who put Pokemon into the game, actually, and that mod already got shut down.
Really?
Yeah, that one already got
by the Pokemon company. Wow. Okay. So they're on top. Yeah. Okay. So they're good to go.
Nintendo and the Pokemon company, they're a legal team.
And this is the thing, though. Like, I understand wanting to protect your IP and not let anyone monetize your IP.
Yeah.
But if someone's coming up with an IP adjacent thing,
yeah,
and they are not blatantly just ripping you off, right? But they're making it adjacent. It actually might boost your sales as well.
Exactly.
Like rising tide raises all ships type thing.
Yeah. There's been some people speculating like, oh man, Pokemon's going to be jealous because this is what a Pokemon game should be. And I'm like, Pokemon's got a formula figured out. You could say that like, all right, yeah, this is Pokemon for adults because it actually has more gameplay than a normal Pokemon game.
Yeah.
But as you're saying, maybe the next Pokemon game that comes out has some elements from Palworld that are popular. So
Yeah.
Survival aspects.
So I think I'm pretty sold on buying it, to be honest.
Yeah,
it looks like a blast.
It's gonna be rad.
It looks like a blast.
Dedicated servers should be pretty easy to do through Steam. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, so we can set up a dedicated servers just for us to play.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that'll be very cool. In other video game news,
yes.
Yeah, anything else with Palworld? I think we covered that pretty well.
I think that's it. Yeah.
In other video game news,
yes,
we did talk about previously. This is like a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
Maybe like in the episode.
What was it? November that this happened? Probably.
Yeah, was that in the teens or the episode 20s? Something
probably
like
20s.
That. Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard.
Yes.
It was finally approved through all of the different courts that it had to go through and all of the different antitrust things, and had to make deals with Sony and blah 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 blah.
It's not a monopoly, but
might as well be.
It's the beginning of a monopoly.
And Activision Blizzard, hugely successful company, pretty dang profitable. Nothing like out of. I mean, it was it looked like a great purchase from Microsoft.
Totally, $69 billion.
Which is just the most that they were like
they rounded up. It was 68.7, but all the articles said 69 billion. So
yeah,
that was nice.
Nice. So they decided in the midst of their profitability to just lay off nearly 2,000 employees. 1,900 employees.
That was Activision and Blizzard. And
Xbox.
A little bit of Xbox.
Yeah, a little bit of Xbox. So like 2,000 employees from of extremely profitable business.
At least they waited till after Christmas.
Looking at you, Wizards of the Coast.
Wizards of the Coast. Not to name any names. Wait. They waited until January, to lay off 2,000 people.
2,000 employees.
Which the stat I was looking at, they said, I think it was Activision Blizzard. I don't know if they included Xbox in that, but I know it was majority Activision Blizzard only has 20,000 employees, so they laid off 10%.
Yeah. The article I read says 10%.
10%? Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if that included the Xbox.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It might have been 10% of their video game division or something like that.
Yeah. And this was a good intro. I got some extra little insights because I follow some random Blizzard-related developers here and there. There was a good amount of the Hearthstone team because I still play Hearthstone for some reason. And there was like a community manager for something or other at Xbox, and then the entire new project from Blizzard got shut down. This game that was announced a few years ago kind of announced. Blizzard was working on a survival game,
Oh, interesting.
and a lot of developers from other Blizzard IPs left, like Hearthstone, I heard, for instance, to go work on that survival game, and that whole team got shut down and laid off. Yeah, not even like, oh, hey, we're going to shut the project and move you somewhere else. They just fired the whole team.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
so I've seen a lot of discussion online about this, as have you.
Well, and you also said that the CEO or
The president of Blizzard was also stepping down.
got fired.
Yeah, he got fired. Conveniently at the same exact time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he also got fired. So probably to install their new Microsoft Overlord. There was a good meme I saw from was that movie Megamind, right? When they're like the meme is like, I thought you were coming to save us, and it's like Blizzard to Microsoft, and it's like, actually, it's more like we're under new management or whatever. It's the hero who turns into the villain. Yep. There's mergers are probably always lead to layoffs. I mean, that's corporate, because there's a lot of like redundant positions now.
Yeah.
With HR, like you don't need multiple departments doing the same thing. So like some of that makes sense, but then obviously 10% seems a bit egregious.
Yeah, it's large. Although it'll increase their profitability. I wonder what their stock price did.
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
I didn't look at that.
Because that news broke before Friday. I mean, there was enough time for the market to respond to that already.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, it's interesting to see these layoffs from all these like brand. I wonder if they are like, we might not be able to see what they see. They might have a 1,000-foot view and we're at 10 feet.
Yeah, right.
So they might see some turbulent times or something like that, or else why would you
be laying off
because they're making, especially in divisions that are ostensibly making money.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm thinking Wizards of the Coast. The only thing making money for Wizards of the Coast is Magic.
Yeah.
And they've scrapped a ton of it.
Yeah, that was the majority of their layoffs last month. Yeah.
It's like
Microsoft just bought Activision Blizzard, arguing that they were a successful company, and then scraps projects and lays off a ton of employees. You're like, how successful were they then? Or do you see that they're not going to be successful in the future? And so that's why you're, obviously, yeah, they got to look at the bottom line, but it is kind of interesting. Do they see something?
Yeah. I wonder if they're all riding off of, specifically for Activision Blizzard, if they're riding off of microtransactions and subscriptions.
Yeah.
And if they see turbulent times coming soon.
Oh, interesting.
They might see a significant decline in microtransaction purchases.
Sure.
And, obviously if you see a decrease in revenue, but you still have salaries to pay.
Yeah.
It's not, employees are not necessarily like income or performance based all the time, or any time basically.
Yeah.
It's, you're salaried to do a job, and theoretically if you do your job well, the company will be able to make a good product to sell. But people have to be willing to buy the product still.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And so if microtransactions are going to decrease, I mean, that's a huge number of dollars that they make from that. So anyway,
interesting.
It'll be interesting to see. I don't know what.
Right. So some of it makes sense, but then it's like, okay, what Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard, the next headline, layoffs. Is the next headline going to be positive then, of like announcing a new video game, Microsoft Blizzard combination? It, as we joked last time, is it going to be Halo in World of Warcraft? I don't know. Like, but just hope you'd be hoping that they have some plan to like increase profitability instead of just like
cut jobs and like.
We want a positive headline.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Nerd companies, stay tuned next month. We'll have Warhammer is going down the toilet or something.
Yeah, Games Workshop is just taking a huge hit or whatever.
Right.
Even though I'm sure that's not happening.
Give it 10 years, there will be no more nerds.
Or just new nerd companies.
New companies.
It's
Pocket Pair. They can keep making Pokemon survival games. I'll probably keep playing them.
I wonder what the longevity of this game is.
Right.
I mean, to be fair though, like it has to be high because if you think about, like all of the games in the top 5,
Mm-hmm.
they like are significant games except for like that one random one.
The one random that I think, like Asia inflates the numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like,
Counter-Strike,
PUBG.
Millions of people play Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
PUBG.
Battle royales are always popular now. Yeah.
Dota,
yeah.
People
has a loyal fan base.
Yep. So Cyberpunk, I think, was the other one. Oh, another one up there. So,
in my opinion, if you're looking for an RPG to play in the year 2024, Cyberpunk is still the best one.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a solid RPG.
Fair enough. So all those games are justifiably on that top tier.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see if Palworld is able to maintain its status as a top 50 game.
Yeah. Right. I joked, I'm like, is it going to die off by this Saturday? But no, player count was still climbing. So
it increased, which is good for them. I mean, I really love seeing these types of success stories of these independent game companies, or even big game companies, producing quality, good games.
Quality products.
That people are like, you know what? This is exactly what we wanted. Yeah. And now we're going to reward this company with oodles and oodles and oodles of money.
And it's so funny that, like, regardless of one positive headline, you're going to get 10 negative headlines about the thing. When it's like, no, guys, this is a victory. We need to celebrate this. Like, as so Palworld is one. We've talked previously about Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep.
Those guys knocked it out of the park. Elden Ring was another huge one of like, this is an excellent product. Like, well done. You deserve all the praise. Like, that's what we want from our video games.
Yep. I mean, this is the thing, like, people want to play good games.
Yeah.
And are willing to pay for good games. Like, you have given Palworld such high praise, and it is a type of game that I would enjoy. Mm-hmm. Like, I enjoy, like, the Minecraft, the Valheim, that type of survival game, whatever, right? Crafting things and anything. That I'm like, if we get a server up, I'm going to buy the game. Yeah. And I'm not even going to wait for like a discount or anything like that. I'm going to buy it full price. If when I go to buy it, if there happens to be a discount, obviously I'm not going to like wait until there's not a discount. But like, if there's not a discount, I'm going to buy the game still.
Yeah.
Because it's reasonably priced for an excellent product.
Done. Yeah, it's like you're
like, it could even be, if it's $30 normally, it could even be $40. And that's still like, sure. Why not?
I've definitely already gotten my $30 of enjoyment, and because I know I'm still going to put more time into it. Like,
exactly,
it's a blast. My wife and I just beat the first boss last night.
Nice.
It was cool. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's gonna be a good time, and yeah.
Pro tip: you got to load up the monkeys with the assault rifles. They're the best. They do the most damage.
There you go.
Yeah. So
there you go.
For all the Palworld players out there.
All 2 million of all 8 million or whatever it is.
Odds are some of them are watching this,
and even some big streamers are like getting on the train.
Who are like not survival gamers.
No, like Tim the Tatman. Do you know who that is?
Name sounds familiar.
He's a Call of Duty first person shooter player.
You probably told me about him. Then.
I don't watch him regularly. I see like clips of his every once in a while on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll watch like a little bit of his YouTube, but I don't watch him streaming or anything like that. Yeah. But I watched a 15-minute video last night of him playing Palworld, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put a lot of time in this game."
That's funny. I've already seen the modders going pretty crazy on it. Like the one big thing that people want for the base building, when you like build a base in game, it gives you a circle, like a radius of like, you can build in this radius now. People are like, that's the most popular mod, is like double that size. Like, I want bigger buildings. I want more stuff at my base. So there's like, the game's pretty alive. It has the modding community. There's tons of people. It's a survival game, so it's diverse enough. It attracts different people of like, I just want to build a pretty base, or like, I want to go kill monsters or breed them and then,
enslave them.
Yeah. Or I just want to resource gather. I just want to punch trees all day. Like, it's got something for everybody. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. It's gonna well done to that team.
Tune in for our Palworld gameplay video.
That'd be very funny.
The 5G podcast dedicated
dark.
server LAN party.
I mean it's a solid choice for your birthday.
Yeah, dude. I think it'd be rad. Have the server up just
like
all weekend.
I'll just come park my computer right here.
Yeah, dude.
And just
that'll be fun. That encapsulates, I believe, our video game topics for the day.
Yes.
We can talk maybe briefly. Yes, last week was a pretty Magic-themed episode.
Very much so.
But we do have a couple more Magic cards because I think this weekend is pre-release. Again, I don't remember. But the new set is coming out. And since our last episode, they also spoiled all of the Commander deck precons. There's like 4 precons in every set now. So we do have at least those commanders to talk about, or maybe the themes. I don't know if any of the commanders are super interesting. But there's 4 precons. You have Naya, red, green, white, Bant, blue, white, green. There's blue, black, Demir, and then red, white, Boros. So interesting combination this time. It's I'm not super high on these themes because it's all the themes from the main set that we talked about last week that we thought were dumb. The Naya is face down tribal, but it's different than you have a morph deck that works well. This is red, green, white. This is not even going to combine with the previous morph synergies.
It's not even close.
So face down tribal. The other one, the Bant one, is detective tribal. Yep, new creature type. Make a whole new deck about it.
Jeez.
Blue black is. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna do red white first. Red white is the suspect tribal. It's all about.
Moving on to our next topic.
Yep. And then honestly, the blue black one, I can't even tell. I think it's surveil, which is like instead of scrying, it's you look at the top card of your library, you can keep it there or put it in the graveyard. So it's like classic blue black stuff of like graveyard shenanigans. So I'm like, I'm looking at the commanders. I don't know if anything is really worth talking about in terms of those guys. Because again, it's just these one-off mechanics: suspect, disguise, cloaking. They even have a couple cases in the deck that they're just one-offs. Like, we have to know about them because we play Commander.
Yeah.
But no other format is going to be affected by this. You're going to forget about this in a couple months.
A couple days.
But when the card shows up in Commander, you're going to be like, what does this mechanic do? Oh, it's Morph with Ward 2. Okay. You played a case? What the heck is a case? Let me see that. Like, because that's Commander. You got to know every card in Magic.
Yeah. Yikes.
There's 1 or 2 we can talk about that are the non-commanders that I think are kind of interesting.
The Mole God?
The Mole God is solid. We didn't talk about him last week.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Is Mole a new card type?
I don't know, actually. Let me do a quick search because that is very interesting.
Gatherer app.
Gatherer. Mole. I say Changelings are having a heyday with this set.
Oh, for sure.
Mole is not a new creature type. There are 5 moles.
Really?
Previously. 2 green, 2 black, and an artifact mole. Artifact creature.
An artifact mole.
Yeah, mole beast, mole worms, gross. And then a mole horror. Those are the black ones.
Interesting. The green one's kind of interesting. Excavation mole.
Yeah.
Interesting. Graft mole. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, you gain 3 life. What? Ravenous Gigamole.
Gigamole. Right, and then the new guy, he's not a Gigamole, but he is
a mole god.
Anzrag the Quake Mole.
Anzrag the Quake Mole.
Legendary creature mole god.
Also, just his base stat is fantastic. 4 for an 8/4.
4 mana, 8/4. I like that.
Like, you put that in any green-blue or a green-red deck.
Green-red, yeah.
Like, 100%. Just a big, chunky, like...
It's good. Obviously, if you had, like, Trample or something, then be too good. But
yeah.
It would be awesome. But whenever Anzrag the Quake Mole becomes blocked, you untap each creature you control, and after this combat, there's an additional combat phase.
And then you can pay 7, which is expensive.
Yeah.
And Anzrag must be blocked each combat this turn, if able. So you only have to pay it once if you have multiple instances of combat.
Multiple combat, yeah. But then so long as he stays alive, he will be blocked for every combat. So that's why I was texting you. He spawned tons of hilarious combos. Because people are like, okay, you need him to be blocked, and you need him to stay alive, and then you get infinite combats, right?
Yeah.
And you need all of the creatures. You need there to be creatures to still block him. So you need a fog effect, which sounds counterintuitive to the combo of infinite combats. But you need so that's it. You need to prevent combat damage to everyone and make him become guaranteed block. So you can either do 7 mana or there's cheaper ones. There's even a fog spell that I think does both, something goofy like that. But then your third one is you need to pay off some reason to just have infinite combats, but you're not dealing any combat damage. So that's what spawned a lot of the like, oh, I bet you can do this. Oh, if you're in blue, you can do this, and black, and boop-a-doo. And so it's usually it's like, oh, you can tap all your creatures to have them deal 1 damage to any target or something. Because each combat phase, you untap your creatures. So stuff like that. Or like, oh, anytime you attack, deal damage to a player.
So my thought was with the, there's in the Spirits deck, there's a card that at the beginning of each combat, if this card was declared an attacker, create a 4/4 Spirit with flying and trample, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Maybe just flying or something like that. And that card doesn't get exiled until the beginning of your end step.
Gotcha. Yep.
If you have infinite combats,
you can make infinite tokens.
You can make infinite tokens.
Then you can do
that. They all have haste.
Yeah.
I think it's haste and flying
because they summon tapped and attacking, so I don't think they technically need the haste.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
But then you have, however many.
After that, add any other combo piece.
Well, and then like in red, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make infinite 4/4s. And then Goblin Bombardment.
Sacrifice them all.
Yeah, prior to the end step.
You know, a million damage to each player. Yeah.
Like something dumb like that.
Exactly. It's a ton of fun combos with that guy, the Quake Mole.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool...
It's a fun card. I think I told you, I'm like, maybe as a commander, he could be a little one note, but I don't know.
But throw him in any green-red deck, or like make him a secret commander or something like that.
Right? Because maybe you want some other colors for some of those combos.
Yeah.
And then you can just tutor him out, and here's my infinite combat steps. And they're like, what? But you're not killing my creatures. Just wait.
But I will.
As soon as I go through 27 million more combats, you'll be dead.
Well, what's cool is that you can choose every opponent.
Yeah. Right.
So, there are some effects where it's like target opponent that you've attacked or something like that, or opponent that blocked or whatever.
Yeah. There's a good amount of things you can do. It's a lot of fun with the Quake Mole.
Anyway,
he's already more exciting than any of the pre-con face commanders.
For sure.
I don't think you're buying any of the pre-cons this set. You don't want. No. You don't want a suspect tribal?
No thanks.
No. There is a commander that has nothing to do with the precon, but the precon that she comes in, but it's Tessak Judith's Hellhound. The art is just like a big hellhound.
Oh, yeah.
Fiery dog. But the Judith is like a character from Ravnica, so she's in the back. But he's our first just dog commander. We have the dog and cat combo commander that's popular. There's a couple cat commanders. But this guy is just dog tribal.
Huh.
Pretty cool. He's mono red, which might limit him a little bit.
Especially with dogs.
I didn't do the research to see how many just red dogs there are.
Aren't dogs...
Usually green, white, red is the dog and cat colors.
Yeah.
But just red. He's a 4 mana for a 3/3 with Unleash, which is a cool ability from Ravnica, old Ravnica. So you can have the creature enter with a 1/1 counter on it. And if... Yeah, so it can't block as long as it has a 1/1 counter on it. That's the Unleash. So it's really a 4 mana 4/4. Or you could do a 3/3 and then if you wanted to block, but you're not. So 4 mana 4/4. He gives other dogs you control have Unleash. So all your dogs come in with 1/1 counters and they can't block.
Interesting.
And then creatures you control with counters on them have haste.
There's the
kicker.
Yeah.
It's not kicker. There's the kicker. Yeah. So it's other creatures you control with counters on them have haste. That's probably how they threw him in the deck somehow. Maybe it's got some counter synergy. But
like a suspect counter or something like that.
No, because that's the thing we talk about. There's no way to track suspect.
Oh, it's not a counter?
No, you just say this creature is suspected.
That's so stupid.
And you just have to remember he's suspected permanently. But it's not a counter.
Yep.
That mechanic was made for a digital client. Anyway, so you could do dog tribal, make a bunch of dogs with 1/1 counters and haste, or just creatures you control with counters on them have haste. It's got some build around. The last ability is arguably less useful, but it's cool that there's another ability stapled on there.
Yeah, for sure.
When it really probably doesn't need it. It's whenever he attacks, you add 1 red mana for each attacking creature.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So it doesn't last through combat, so you have to use it on combat tricks or mana sinks. But you're in mono red. Fire breathing is the most iconic mana sink in red. It's usually, they have it on a few enchantments, but a lot of creatures will just say, pay 1 red mana, you get +1 power until end of turn on that creature. So it's not hard to find payoffs for that.
No.
But it's not unlimited. You can't do anything you want, but still.
Wow. It's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, dog commander.
Or just in the middle of combat, tap and sack your clues.
Yeah, exactly. At least something.
Or your life, or your the food tokens, or whatever.
Gain some life, draw some cards.
Whatever.
Yeah. So that one was cool. I thought that was fun. Dog commander. And then they do have a kind of a fun enchantment that's like an Anthem effect. We talked the last time about the new Intrepid Anthem that was also Goblin Bombardment or something. I forget. No, it was Impact Tremors. So this one is white-blue. The last one was white-red. And it's 5 mana, 3 a white and a blue enchantment. Creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn.
Wait.
Yeah.
What colors is this?
White and blue.
Damn.
Which are normally controlling.
I wanted this in my mono green deck.
But they also draw a lot of cards. Traditional. I mean, every color draws a lot of cards now, but it's cool because it's white blue. You need white blue aggro. Because you're right. You're I want this in a green deck. I'm I would love this in red green. Yeah.
Yeah.
Werewolves would love this, but the card is called Knowledge is Power.
That's theme fitting at least.
All right, that's theme fitting. I'll give him a slide on that. But it's cool. A normal Anthem effect.
Gain +X/+X.
Yeah, they get +X/+X, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn. So that'll reset each turn.
So at least they're getting +1/+1 every single turn.
Yeah, on your turn.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic rate because a normal Anthem effect.
Well, unless you're drawing cards on everyone's turn.
Unless you're drawing cards on everyone's turn.
Which blue-white does.
Or if you can draw cards at instant speed, this turns into a combat trick that your opponents have to always watch out for.
Yeah, it's I'm only swinging with 10 1/1 angels. Oh, I haven't drawn. Actually, they're 2/2 angels, right? So
Yeah.
I'm swinging 5 at you and 5 at you. So that's 10 damage each.
Oh, no big deal.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, no declared blockers because it's only whatever
Only 10
damage.
damage.
Oh well, let me just draw 3 cards.
Yeah. Just.
And then they're +4/+4, so there's it's 25 damage.
It's 25 damage coming at
it's
you.
like whoa, and you didn't block.
You already said you weren't blocking. Yep. So it's cool.
I like that.
It's fun. I don't know how strong competitive it'll be, but I thought that was interesting. It's a shame it's in white blue, but
yeah, you can still figure out how to do it though.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking even put it with a Kami of the second.
Kami of the Crescent Moon.
Crescent Moon.
Yes.
At that point, you're getting +2/+2 for all your creatures.
Yeah, you want ways to draw more cards. You want ways to draw cards on everyone's turns.
Yeah. Instant speed card draw, which I feel like blue has some of that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of just cantrips.
Mm-hmm.
Of just you pay 1 blue mana, just draw a card. Or do something else random, draw a card. Those are the best ones, honestly, to talk about from the Commander set. So that's fine. We don't have to. We're done with Magic.
I think you sent me a couple other ones. I don't know if you were saying that they were crappy or what.
I just sent more to you.
Yeah, you sent me a bunch.
I thought that was it. That we
Call Surprise Witness.
Oh, did we not already cover those ones?
I didn't think so. Did we?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So I was just sending some of those for the cringy names, but
on the job.
Let me put on my thinking cap.
That's actually a really crappy card.
Yeah.
Creatures you control. It's 4 mana. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn, and then investigate. Yeah, that's not that bad, I guess.
Yeah. The first one that you sent me though, I think is pretty relevant. The
Krenko Buzz Crusher. Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
That is a cool card.
4 mana, pure red, 4 mana, 4/4 for a flying trample creature. Not bad right there.
It's a good rate.
Right, not bad right there. Then what's really interesting is when it enters the battlefield, for each player, destroy up to 1 non-basic land that player controls. For each land destroyed this way, its controller may search the library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tapped, and then shuffle.
So you're already pretty happy with a 4 mana, 4/4 flying trample.
Yeah. And then you get to do at least...
For each player, if you ever wanted to pick your own, but presumably for each opponent, you can blow up their best land. And
and then you get 3 untapped. You get 3 tapped lands.
No. It is its controller goes and gets the basic land. So it replaces the.
Oh, I see.
It replaces the non-basic with a basic.
I see.
With a tap.
I misunderstood it.
The neat thing though is as I mentioned for it says non-basic, and it gets around hexproof lands because it's the player you destroy up to 1 non-basic land that player controls. Hexproof only stops against target. There's no target anywhere in there.
Oh, interesting.
It's really weird.
Why would they not? I mean,
I think it's for Pioneer, the format that's semi-dominated by Lotus Field, which is this dumb land that has hexproof on it.
Oh.
And there's a lot of decks that are called Lotus Field combo decks, because if you get a land that taps for 3 mana, that's pretty broken in any format.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's so this is a way to interact with that. So I think it'll be neat in that format, at least. In Commander, you're not as worried about the hexproof, but there's always non-basic lands to blow up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
That are annoying.
Yeah. Especially ones that are giving people multiple mana.
Yeah. Multiple mana, random, other side effects. Gaia's Cradle's the one everyone jumps to, but
yeah,
that's
Lair of the Hydra.
Right.
Because that's a super relevant card.
Cabal Coffers and Urborg.
Yeah.
It's another popular combo. So
there's a bunch.
Krenko's Buzz Crusher.
Yeah.
He's a cool one.
And I'm sure there's a way that you can bouncing back and
artifact
forth and back and
creature
forth
when
and
it
back
enters
and
the
forth.
battlefield?
Yeah.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Well, of all the non-basics.
Anyway, I think that's all of the magic cards that we have to talk about.
That's it. That's the end of Murders at Karlov Manor, Mystery at Ravnica on the Orient,
Murder of the Orient Express.
on Wizards Express. Yeah. We're done.
Ugh. I'm not convinced that this is a good set. If you haven't been able to tell, I think this is their worst one that they've released since I've been paying attention.
Well, yeah.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
We had a couple good things because
Yeah,
nothing's ever 100% terrible. But
no. I mean, if we were ranking it though, or like giving it a grade,
yeah,
it's definitely like a D minus.
all right.
Like
The Mole God was cool, and last week like the elk turtle thing, like some of the art looks pretty funny.
yeah, there's some of them where it's like, okay, that's reasonable and doesn't like break the game or like create stupid new rules or keywords or anything like that.
Right, it's fine.
Like, okay,
You have to imagine there's a large design team working on these. They can't all be wrong.
true. I think they should have fired those guys
Yeah, there you go.
and kept the good ones. Like people who are creating goblin scribes,
Yeah,
bard scribes.
goblin bards.
Yeah. Anyway,
Let's go on to our main topic for the day.
main topic for the day.
to just kick back, relax, get my popcorn.
You excited for this?
Steven's gonna nerd out all about shot.
Oh, well. So I have the fortunate opportunity to go to the biggest gun show ever
in America,
in the world.
In the world. Yeah.
Every other year.
Oh, it's every other year.
So it's every year, but I only go every other year.
Go every other year. Okay.
And
do it every other year just for Steven.
Yep, just for me. I'm the main event, you know. I get up on my little podium and have all the guns be judged. Let them be judged.
Good. No. Send it back.
No. Turkish, so you don't count. Not that the Turks don't count. Turkish guns don't count.
Turkish guns. Glock ripoffs.
So this is yeah. So anyway, I have the wonderful opportunity to go every year. It's gets more and more massive every single year.
Right.
The first year I went, which was nearly actually over 10 years ago now.
A wee boy.
I was 16 or 17, I think, when I went the first time. It was the conference center of the Venetian.
All right.
Big conference center.
In Vegas.
And then it's 2 stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 stories. And then a couple times later, they added like the other half of the Venetian.
Wow.
So there's a whole nother area. And then now they have another whole building.
Wow.
So it's all of that plus another building.
That's cool.
It's massive. It's massive. The first day I got there. The show starts Tuesday. Full day Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday ends like an hour and a half earlier than normal.
Yeah.
So I got there Wednesday at 11. From 11 to 5, I had 14,000 steps in.
Wow.
On my little watch here.
Cool.
Thursday, full day, had nearly 20,000 steps.
Whoa, that's a day.
And then Friday was a half day because we left early so we could drive home.
Mm-hmm.
I had another like 12,000 steps.
12,000. Wow.
Yeah.
Just walking around.
Looking at cool stuff.
That's impressive.
So I mean, it's fantastic.
10,000 steps. It depends on your step length. Averages out to like 4 miles or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
It's like 8 miles of just convention.
It's massive. It's massive, and you're carrying around a bag because people are giving away brochures and purchase order contracts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
To like, you know, because it's an industry show, and so
they're giving you coupons like, hey, come buy
yep.
them up.
So and dealer pricing and stuff like that, right?
Cool.
And so, and I always come home with like a laundry list of things that I want.
Christmas list.
Exactly. And I might start,
Start now.
checking those boxes. But yeah, there was some really cool stuff that's coming out or has come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like going to look at the industry trends, just because I like looking at it as a macro,
Mm-hmm.
Individual gun companies that come out with a cool new gun. It's cool. Sometimes it's like, okay, but
it's experimental. And
that's not going to catch on. And sometimes it does, but sometimes it's like, yeah, you can make as many as you want. That's not going to be a success necessarily. Right. But other companies, you're like, you know what? I think you're onto something here. This year, I didn't see a ton of. Most years, there's at least a couple companies that are like, you're like, whoa, how did you do that? Like, that's way cool. Like,
cool new stuff.
Cool gun, like, cool new operating system. Like, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, the Lago Alien had first come out.
Yeah.
Or was coming out and gaining popularity, and it's just the sickest it's so cool. But there wasn't really another handgun company that came out with anything this year.
Okay.
So I guess let me do the macro trends that I saw.
Yeah.
And then I can go into like some of the micro companies, the individual products where I was like, this is sick.
Sure.
Right. So macro trends. People need to stop making ARs.
Yeah, there's too many.
People are like, this is the next best AR-15 on the planet. It's like, it's an AR.
Yeah.
There are big companies, they should sell ARs, but stop iterating on it.
Yeah.
Like, just popular. Make a good AR that people want.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't let them make their own choices on accessories.
It's popular because they're so customizable with all the different parts that you can get for them.
Yeah.
You don't need you don't need extra bells and whistles.
It's not even like that necessarily where they're like, oh, this one comes with this optic.
Or they're making uncompatible ARs now.
Not quite there.
Okay.
There are some where you have to get like specific things. Like there are some companies where they have certain parts have to be within their ecosystem.
Sure, yeah.
But they're not like main components.
Okay, good.
And their main components are compatible with anything, basically.
That's the draw of I want an upper from this guy, a lower from over here. I want this stock.
Yeah.
That's why an AR is popular.
No, everyone makes the same stocks. Everyone makes the same upper and lower. It's all basically compatible. So there's a lot of ARs that just like
everyone's
and these companies are like
on it, though.
Coming out with these ARs, and it's like it's an AR.
Yeah.
Like
the new and the greatest AR.
It's an AR.
Cool.
The other thing no one was really coming out with gas guns though, piston guns.
Okay, yeah.
Which was interesting. There wasn't as many piston guns coming out as I thought there would be. The reason I say that is because the military is adopting this gun that they call the NGSW, Next Generation Service Weapon.
Oh, yeah, all right.
The next generation of their firearms, instead of like an M4, they're going to this Sig Sauer piston-operated long stroke system.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be standard, yeah.
Yeah, and it shoots a battle cartridge instead of an intermediate caliber like a 223. Anyway, I was expecting a bunch of companies to kind of follow in that. The military kind of brings people with it.
Yeah, they kind of drive trends a little bit.
And so I was expecting a lot more piston-driven guns, a lot more short-stroke and long-stroke piston guns. And it just...
Are we just not there yet?
I don't know.
Because I'm curious, AR-15s obviously came from the M16, which in Vietnam
actually,
was
other way around.
Other way around, okay.
The designer, Eugene Stoner, was developing a gun, and he was like, this is the AR-10 originally, because it was the Armalite. So the AR stands for Armalite.
Armalite
rifle. And then 10 is just a number designation, right? So the AR-10 happens to be an AR-15 looking gun in 308.
Yeah.
The AR-9 is a shotgun.
It's a shotgun. Okay, that's funny.
It's a pump-action shotgun.
I want an AR-9.
So like you have an AR-9, which is a pump action shotgun, an AR-10, which is a 308 battle rifle, and then there's obviously iterations of AR-11, AR-12, AR-13, AR-14, who I don't even know what they are because no one does, and then an AR-15, which is a carbine version of the AR-10. It's just in 223 instead of 308.
Right.
Or sorry, 5.56.
So I guess I'm curious as far as the commercial popularity of the AR-15. I have to imagine like the military kind of pushed that a little bit because
for sure, because everyone
using the same platform.
Yeah. Well, and it was produced in the 50s, and then in the 60s it was utilized in Vietnam.
Yeah.
That's probably where it gained its popularity.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, "This is fantastic!" Like, and it's a lightweight rifle. It's very effective. Anyway.
Yeah, so I'm curious, maybe we're just not there yet. If the military swapped to a new...
What's interesting is that the military has been using piston-driven guns not for like major, like full battalion level, like main weapon for like all the infantry.
Yeah.
But for special operations guys, they've been using HK-416s, which is a gas piston system. And the gas guns, the piston guns work great. They're fantastic. And other militaries have been using piston guns for
longer
millennia. AK-47s are piston guns.
Right. Yes.
They're long stroke gas pistons. So there's not a dearth of, it's not a new type of gun, right?
Yeah.
And I was just expecting, I guess, to see more piston-driven guns instead of direct impingement systems.
Maybe we're not quite there,
so
or it's just not, or just the AR-15. It's too popular.
It is. But like I was saying, like if you're coming out with parts for ARs that are cool, by all means, please let us all know. But if you're like, there's
the new AR-15 there's nothing new about.
There's a company that came out with 5 new versions of their AR-15.
Okay,
you want to know what the difference was? Color and barrel length.
I was like, I don't know, the front sight. I don't know. That's even worse. Color.
Yeah, they're like, this one is a 15-inch or a 16-inch barrel in FDE green.
Nice.
It's like, oh, fantastic! I'm so glad that I'm going to pay $2,000 for this rifle instead of going and buying a standard rifle or putting my own together for $1,200.
Cheaper than $2,000.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
And there are some companies that do make premium quality AR-15s,
sure,
right? Yeah. And in those instances, most of the time it's like, yeah, we've like made this AR, and this is our perfect AR. We're not going to change anything about it. And every year they're like, we have an AR still, and I'm like, yeah, but like I hate these companies that are like, we have a new AR-15. It's like, no, it's an AR.
Yeah, you didn't do anything different.
You're not doing anything different. Speaking of different and the lack thereof, there are 2 paths that I've seen recently with the in the handgun world.
Okay.
So we'll move from rifles into handguns. And this isn't necessarily bad, right? This is the AR thing kind of pisses me off because I think it's disingenuous of companies to be like, we have a new AR. It's like, no, it's just an AR. More and more companies have been coming out with their versions of basically a Glock.
Yeah.
And improvements to a Glock. And then other companies, and I don't think that's a bad thing because I think Glock is a fantastic platform to iterate on.
Yeah, it's good base.
And there are companies making some really, really good products, like solid copies or iterations of Glocks, right?
Sure.
And so I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. I think more options for a Glock style handgun that is compatible with Glock holsters and everything like that is good, especially if a company can take a $400, $500 Glock and make it a $900 true value Glock.
Oh, sure.
Where it's, a more ergonomic grip, better trigger control, or better trigger, more accessories here and there, whatnot, right? So I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. So on the one side, people are coming out with better polymer guns, which is always a good thing because the polymer guns are striker fired guns are what most everyone has. On the other side, though, people are coming out with the hammer fired guns. A lot of people are coming out with double stack 1911s.
Really?
So a traditional 1911, an original 1911 was in 45 caliber single stack magazine, right? You had a capacity of 8 rounds, basically.
Yeah.
They changed. Many companies changed that into 9mm single stack magazines, so you got a little bit more capacity, but it only put it up to like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Right. And then a while ago, probably 2 decades ago now, there was a few companies that were like, well, let's take the operating system of a 1911, which is by far the best operating system.
Yeah.
Just because of how the trigger pull is so much better, it just is so much nicer.
The ballistics are just perfect. Yeah.
It's a very nice operating system. And let's take it and put a double stack magazine into it, right? And so that opened up this world of what are called 2011s. And that's actually a trademark term by one of the companies, so you can't call them that unless you're that company.
Gotcha.
So everyone calls them double stack 1911s. And so they have all these different. Where was I going? Oh, so a lot of companies. So for the past, let's see, when did this trend start? 2 or 3 years ago, there was only like 2 or 3 companies making these double stack 1911s.
Yeah.
And they're really expensive because they're really high quality guns. They
don't have cheap versions.
No, like there's no cheap version. Like, no, it's not a $500 gun. It's like a $5,000 gun.
Wow. Okay.
Right? Like so Nighthawk Customs, for example, makes a double stack 1911. Their guns are literally 5,000 plus.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? Or Staccato. Staccato makes really, really nice guns, but they're still, and they're more of like the production side of. They were more the production side of 2011s, or 2011s. That's the company that trademarked it.
Okay.
But they're still like, I think their starting price is around $2,000.
Yeah,
maybe $1,500.
It's a premium gun. You pay a premium price.
Yeah, but they work fantastically. The triggers on them are just buttery smooth, and
never have a problem with them.
No, they're so nice, and they're good. They're really good guns, right? Like they do deserve that price tag, that premium. And they're more expensive to produce than polymer guns because they're entirely metal, right? And, and the 1911, for all of its glory, is a more expensive product to make because you can't just have stamped sheet metal pieces in it. Like
you have to forge that.
The safeties are not just a bent piece of sheet metal; it's actually a milled piece of metal, right? And so they're going to be more expensive no matter what. Recently, though, a lot of other companies have been coming out with double stack 1911s. And it's really cool to see because some of them are like really, really competitively priced. They might not be as good as the Staccatos or the Atlas or the Infinity, definitely not even close to Infinity.
But you're getting more.
But you're getting
the average consumer,
the duty level gun in a 2011 double stack 1911 frame. And it's still a 1911. It's going to run flawlessly. It's going to be just amazing. They're all in 9mm. All of these ones are. None of them are in 45, I don't think.
Weird.
And so a lot of these companies are doing that type of stuff. And
what's like an average price tag for some of these new ones?
So Springfield has one called the Prodigy, and I believe it retails for right around $1,200.
That's kind of what I was going to guess. I was like $1,200. That's a bit more.
And I got hands on one, and it was not bad.
It feels good. Even the double stack doesn't feel weird.
No, theirs is a little bit chunkier than the other ones. Staccatos feel fine. Like they feel they feel great. It's the same with Nighthawks. Like that, they're fantastic. The Prodigy was a little bit chunkier than I would have liked. But I don't have the biggest hands in the world. And so, they were. It felt fine though. There was a couple gripes that I had with it. I don't know if I would buy one of those necessarily over a different company's. But I haven't thought about it. It was a nice enough gun where I was like, yeah, it was like I saw a lot of value behind it. Right,
it'd be cool to own as well, like
for sure. And if I was someone like a police officer who was carrying a gun daily,
oh yeah,
in terms of like for my job, right, outside of the waistband, full size gun,
yeah,
I would definitely consider one of these double stack 1911s, probably a staccato, honestly.
Then 1911 for the usability, right? Because we said how good it is, and then double stack just for the practicality.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's your job, you need more than
the full size gun. You're getting 18 rounds in these magazines without an extension on them.
Cool, yeah.
And you can get extensions easily.
Yeah,
like these competitive guys have like 25 round mags for their pistols,
easy,
and it only sticks out like that much from the bottom. In my opinion, looks dope. But they're all of them. Every single one of them is milled for a red dot on the slide already.
Perfect, yeah.
Just because you have to nowadays. And that's another trend. Every single gun, if it's coming out, if you don't have a red dot option.
It's interesting because original 1911s did not.
Well, no. Original 1911s barely had sights.
What's a red dot?
Yeah, because it was built in freaking 1911 before electricity was a thing.
But yeah, that is kind of an interesting, if you had to say gun major trends of like everything's got to be ready for a red dot.
Yeah. Just it has a little plate there. You can remove it, slap your favorite optic on, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
So there was that. A lot of companies. So the 1911s or the 2011s or whatever. That's another trend that I'm seeing. Which I think is a fine one. I think it's good. More options for consumers. It's not a saturated market like AR-15s.
Yeah.
The other one I saw, which was interesting to me, was another Browning gun. It's the Browning High Power.
Wait.
Which isn't
that a machine gun?
No. So the High Power is So John Moses Browning developed the 1911.
Yeah.
And then basically he was like, I want to, and everyone loves that thing, right? And basically what he said was like, I want to perfect this. And everyone's like, but it's perfect. And everyone still is like, but it's perfect.
It's still perfect.
But he created the High Power, Browning High Power, which is a 9mm, designed in 9mm gun.
Okay.
Magazine fed, hammer operated pistol. And they're great guns. Like they are so aesthetically pleasing. Like 2011s and 1911s can be a little bit plain Jane when it comes to like the slide. Like you can obviously like do them up and stuff like that,
yeah.
But they're relatively like simple, which is one of the great things about them is because they're simple, right? They look simple. They're smooth. It's fine. The High Powers are a little bit more complex looking.
Okay.
And they just are a vibe.
Yeah.
They look sick in my opinion. And they I mean, it's a Browning gun, so it works fantastically.
So they came out with a new one then? Is that what you're saying?
So what happened was, and this is maybe a little bit too much of a history lesson, but for whatever reason, FN, so John Moses Browning had, when he was alive, partnered with FN and sold FN all of his stuff, basically.
Yeah.
So the Fabrique Nationale Herstal of Belgium was making these High Powers, and no one was like really like, they weren't promoting them or anything like that. They just kind of had like a stash of them.
Yeah.
And like, if you wanted to find one and buy one, you could like call up and be like, do you have any of these? And they'd like sell it to you, right?
Oh yeah, we got them in the back.
And then what happened was, because no one was like really promoting them, Springfield Armory was like, well, let's just make one.
Did you guys not have a patent on the design or anything? We can just make one?
So Springfield Armory was just like, yeah, we're gonna make one of these.
Okay.
And so they came out with it. It was a great product, like really reasonably priced. I think around the $700 mark for a full metal gun. Quality product and things like that. And everyone was like, "Yo, this is sick!" And so like Springfield like made a stupid amount of money off of them.
Yeah.
And then FN was like, wait, that's ours.
Wait a second.
So they ramped up production of theirs again and like made them modern, made a modernized version.
So they just got free advertising from Springfield then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the original company, Inglis, which is a Canadian company, which was the original, prior to FN, was the original producer of the High Powers, was like, hey, we've been asleep for 70 years. What's going on? And then there's like, came out with like a really, really, really good one for really, really cheap.
Wow.
Like cheap enough and good enough where I'm like, I'm going to get one of these.
I could get one, yeah.
Like they have a case hardened, it looks so good. Case hardened version of one for like $650 or something.
That's very reasonable.
Like it looks beautiful. And it's a high power, which is just going to work. Right.
And so they also got free advertisement enough to like come out of hiding. Like, hey,
yeah,
we're a gun company too now.
Yeah.
I mean, we were before, but
yeah,
that's very odd.
It's super cool. It's super cool. Anyway, so that's like, you know, kind of the areas and handguns that I saw, the general trends, you know.
Yeah.
We're going Glocks and polymer guns in one direction and great products there, and metal frame guns in the other direction.
Metal frame, yeah.
I wanted to bring this up. One of the interesting things is that, is it 2 companies or 3 companies are producing their striker-fired guns, which are traditionally the polymer guns.
Yeah.
And they all make a polymer gun like this. They're making all metal versions of them.
Weird. All right.
And I got hands-on with 3 of them. 2 of them. So Sig Sauer makes one.
Okay.
Oh, I did get my hands on that one. Yeah. So Sig Sauer wasn't at the show. Oh. They haven't gone for the past few years for whatever reason.
Interesting. Walther. Sure.
Canik.
Mm-hmm.
Was there another one, or was that the 3 that I?
Well, you said Sig Sauer doesn't go.
But someone had a 320, a P320 on display that was the full metal one. They had like customized it or whatever.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
Anyway, and they it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Cool.
If you want a striker fired gun full metal, it's gonna be 0 recoil on these things.
Right.
I mean, they're gonna run like a competition gun.
It's like way too much frame for that.
Oh, 100%
power, but
100%. It's hilarious.
You don't need that. But.
And one of the Walters that I picked, was it the Walter? It was either the Walter or the Canik. Had a comp on the front of it, and I was like, "There's going to be 0 recoil on this thing."
Yeah,
because they're chunky guns, but like if you're looking for like a concealed carry gun, no.
It's a competition gun,
competition or home defense.
Home defense, yeah.
If you just bedside safe or whatever,
point accurate,
it's gonna just
no recoil,
and you're gonna carry it 75 feet while walking throughout your home or whatever. It's it'd be fantastic for that. Obviously, all red dot compatible, but
also important for home defense. Yeah.
And the Walther, the PDP is really a great feeling gun in the hand. Like
I've always enjoyed feeling a Walther in the hand. I don't know what it is.
I forgot about how good
they got that down pat.
They do. I actually am considering buying one because I was playing with it and holding it, and I don't know if I'm going to get the metal version or the regular polymer version because they both feel very good. And also the Canik. If you're looking at buying your first gun, and this is going to be my endorsement of Canik.
Nice. Okay.
If you're looking to buy your first gun, buy a Canik.
Canik, really?
Buy a Canik. 100%. 100%.
All right.
They're very, very inexpensive. Their triggers are fantastic.
Oh, okay. That's important.
And
first time.
Just the performance that you get out of them is just amazing.
Well, I have to look into them. Yeah, I'm not a first time gun.
Just amazing. Most first time gun owners buy Glocks and things like that. Just
I've had good experience with Ruger. I've enjoyed Ruger.
Yeah,
because of the price point more than anything. But
I cannot give up a higher endorsement than I can to Canik. Just Canik. They're a foreign company, obviously. They produce a lot of stuff in the U.S. because of the import laws and things like that. They have to be produced in the U.S. But yeah, I mean, I can't say anything bad about them.
Do you remember what this one was called? That was the
I believe it was called the Rival S. Let me. I have a picture of it. I know that.
Just because mechanically, that sounds neat. That sounds cool to get the metal frames.
Yeah. So the Rival S, and the S I believe stands for steel.
Steel. Uh-huh.
So they have the Rival
in their polymer,
which frame. Is polymer with a steel slide and barrel, obviously, right? Yeah. But yeah, I mean the Rival S, and then you can there's different versions of it. They have some that are a little bit longer barreled. It doesn't matter either way. They're all gonna just be amazing, and they also just kind of look sick. Yeah.
All right, those do kind of look cool though.
And they had a couple show models with like the gold accents and things like that.
Nice.
So this was the polymer version.
Polymer frame, yeah.
And you can see kind of the difference in
yeah, they look pretty smooth.
Yeah, so I can't give a higher recommendation than
that. Sounds like that'd be a good gun either. Like definitely for a first time gun buyer, but I think that'd be cool to have. Take to the range. Pretty good range gun, or for teaching somebody new.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I cannot give a higher recommendation than Canic is just knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, you had a good experience with them at the show.
I did, and I've shot their guns previously, and they're super super nice.
Nice.
Another gun that I wanted to highlight is very very cool and really innovative.
The AK-47.
The AK-47 Gen 1 from the Red Army.
Straight out of Russia.
Straight out of Soviet Union, right?
Uh-huh. This gun, let me tell you, man, you can get sand in it, it'll still fire. You get water in it, it still fires.
You get sand and water in it.
Just mud, covered in mud, it still fires.
So this gun is really cool. And you'll have to forgive me, I always forget the name of the company that produces it because it's their only gun that they produce.
Oh, okay.
But the gun is called the Platypus.
The Platypus. Is this... Sorry, go on, I'll let you finish.
No.
Is it a sniper rifle?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
There's a platypus in some video game then. That's a sniper rifle.
No, so this is a handgun again, pistol. And it's a 2011 type gun, right?
All right.
Same operating system as a 1911. But they've figured out how to make it take Glock mags.
That's hilarious.
And so it feeds from 9mm or 45 caliber Glock mags.
Huh. Which are like
the most plentiful magazine. One of the biggest gripes that everyone has is that the magazines for 2011s or double stack 1911s
are so unique
that you can't. There's no compatibility between any of them, and there are some feed issues with them on occasion. If you have like one of the really like,
you can't just go buy a different one.
You can't just and they're expensive because they're steel and Glock mags on the other hand are a dime a dozen.
$20 at your local store.
If that.
$20 for the extended mag.
Yeah, exactly. A million different guns take Glock mags. Mm-hmm. And so they've combined kind of two of the better aspects of these two guns. Mm-hmm. Glock's compatibility with, everything. Glock magazines are just so ubiquitous that, if even people that don't own a Glock might own a Glock mag, right?
In one of their guns somewhere, yeah.
And they didn't need to design a new magazine for their gun. They just took this existing magazine, which is it's a fine magazine, and put it in one of the better platforms.
That's cool.
And what they're doing, man, and they look so good.
The Platypus.
They look so good. They had a bunch of the guns there were orange and teal, like Perry the Platypus.
Yeah, that's nice.
And one of them even had a little top hat or like a little it's not a fedora that he wears.
Yeah, it is a fedora.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, a 1950s style fedora.
Yeah, like a little 1950s hat engraved on the top of it, and it on the optics plate and stuff like that.
Lean into the meme.
Yeah, no, they 100% are.
A Platypus is a normal gun, and then Perry the Platypus.
So the logo for this gun is literally just a jacked Perry the Platypus looking thing.
No way.
I don't know how they're getting away with it,
dude. The Disney Channel lawyers are not as tight as the Nintendo lawyers.
I don't think Disney Channel lawyers know what's up because it's a very, very small company.
Okay.
Very small company.
Well, I'm already convinced. I
want one so bad. And they're not unreasonably priced for what they are. I mean, they're still double stack, or they're still a 2011 style gun, right? Yeah, take Glock mags, though, which is really nice.
Yeah, because that's cheap to get accessories
Very cheap to get magazines for, base plates for. You can get metal Glock mags. You know, Glock mags are just so overrepresented in the market, which is not a bad thing, right? It's like it's
good for consumers.
Very good for consumers. And
Perry the platypus.
So yeah, I mean, it's a good looking gun. I held it. It feels freaking amazing in the hand. Like,
would it feel lighter then? Because since you've also felt the other 2011s, if they're using just a normal Glock mag.
It might have been a tad bit lighter, but not anything crazy noticeable.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's still a full size 2011 with steel and aluminum, and it's metal. It's not plastic. So it's not a light gun by any means, but it's a nice gun.
Nice gun.
But I think it's. And they can customize them for you out of the shop with all the different colors that you want.
Because they're that small. That's cool.
Yeah. So, like, if you want to, like, make it the most, like, plain Jane thing, you can do that. If you want to make it the most ridiculous, over-the-top Gucci gun on the planet,
that's kind of fun.
You can do that, too. There's two more companies that I want to give a little spiel about.
Yeah.
These are going to be Steven's Most Innovative of the Year awards.
Ah, yes. The 5G Podcast SHOT Show Award.
So one of them is one of the most popular gun companies in the world right now. It's Palmetto State Armory.
Okay. Yep.
The other one is a very, 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 very new company called Sholo Manufacturing.
Have not heard of them. Yep.
They're from Sholo, Arizona.
Oh, nice.
And that's
the only thing to come out of Sholo.
Yep, true. They have developed a very, very cool system for 9mm AKs.
Interesting. All right.
And I say 9mm AK. It's reminiscent of an AK in its style, and some of the parts are compatible.
Okay.
But it's their own operating system, right? And they've developed a new blowback operation system for these AKs that is better than any of the other blowback operation systems. So for 9mm rifles or carbines or whatever you want to call them, most of the time people do what's called a direct blowback. And that's basically like, you have a bullet in the chamber, and you don't want the explosion to get outside of that chamber, and so you put a bunch of weight behind it with a spring.
Push it forward.
And that explosion happens, and the explosion has to fight against that spring and that weight in order to cycle the bolt, right? And that's how it just kind of keeps the explosion inside of the chamber until most of the gas has been expelled, and then it cycles it that way.
Feeds the next one with the spring. Yep.
In the freaking 60s, 70s, 60s, I think, HK, Heckler & Co., developed the MP5, which is a blowback system, but it's a roller-delayed blowback system.
Yeah. Okay.
And so what that means is that instead of just being a bunch of weight and a spring behind the bullet, they actually reduced a lot of the weight and put a roller system that basically fits into these two notches, and then in order for the bullet, or for the bolt to be pushed backwards, the force has to fight against these two rollers that are locked into place right there. And they, they roll out pretty easily and then go back into place and lock, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it delays that explosion inside of the chamber. They're doing something that's cheaper and more revolutionary, I guess. They have a guide rod in the top of where the gas piston would normally go in an AK.
Okay.
That has this divot inside of this rod. And it's a captured rod, so it doesn't move or anything like that. And the bolt carrier goes over the top of this rod, and then obviously there's like the bolt face and things like that.
Yeah.
But it has these two spring-loaded clips, kind of.
Okay.
And
like over the divot.
So they ride on this guide rod, and then they lock into this divot when the bolt is closed.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it's fired, the force has to fight against that to pop those springs open, or to pop them open,
unlatch them,
and then it goes outside of that divot and rides backwards.
Yeah, and then until it seats back again.
Yep, and then a spring pushes it forward and it locks into place again.
Interesting.
They get a stupid rate of fire with this system.
Yeah,
and it's really, really cool.
Because you're not like the mechanics are different, like the moving parts are different.
It's a completely new system. Like it's patented and everything. Like they own this. It's very, very cool.
Wow.
It's very, very cool.
That's pretty neat.
So that's, one of my awards for most innovative of the year.
Right, because that's, you said that's the main thing from that is just, it's a faster rate of fire. Does that make it more like durable, like long lasting?
It makes it a much lighter system.
Lighter, okay.
Makes it much lighter. I'm not positive about the durability. Like I said, this is a new system, so I don't have any.
Yeah,
I've never shot it before or anything like that. Right?
The end of life.
I have no clue. It's something that like I was actually talking with the guys because they're from Sholo, and one of the guys was actually a HVAC guy. He was a green badge at Intel.
No way.
Yeah, at the Chandler Chandler plant. Yeah, he was doing. I don't remember what he was doing exactly. I think it was HVAC or something like that. Anyway,
that's fun. Had a connection to Arizona.
Yeah, so they it's a really, really cool system. I sat and I was talking with the guy who created it, and I was taking it apart and like putting it back together and like trying to figure it out and explain to him how his own system worked, just because that's how I learn, right? Is like trying to explain it to other people. So that was a very, very cool product.
What's the name of the company again?
Sholo Manufacturing.
Oh, okay, just Sholo Manufacturing.
Yeah. They're on Instagram and everything like that. You can
sweet,
go look up a picture of the gun, and they look really good too. I mean, they didn't produce like a crap gun, right?
Yeah.
With their new patented system. Anyway, the last one is Palmetto State Armory. Wanted to give them a shout out. Everyone in the industry loves them because they produce some of the wildest guns and also some of the best quality guns for the money. Like $1,000 full setup ARs that are just like gonna run for forever.
Cool.
They are one of the companies where it's like, if they come out with a new AR product, it's like, okay, I'm going to pay attention because most of the time they're doing like
they have
really good.
Record,
they do really good stuff, and always bringing such good value to customers. Such good value. Nice. They have a Glock product that they produce in house called the Dagger, and accepts Glock mags and everything like that. Right? It's a polymer framed Glock clone basically, but they're selling for like $300, and they're great guns.
I might go buy another one.
Like
I already have a Glock, but
for real. No, they're super cool. They are doing this new thing, which I think is really cool, where the CEO is always like, I don't need money. So basically, what he does is he's like, yeah, let's go build some cool shit.
Money to blow, rich billionaires. I like it.
And so basically they were like, well, what do we want? They have their design team, and I would love to go work on their design team.
Geez, yeah.
Or their creative development team or whatever. They're like, well, so they're cutting out with these cool products and whatnot. And most of them are like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. And then this year they were just like, yeah, we came out with we came out with 5 new ideas. We just want to see which ones you guys want us to produce first. We're going to produce them all, but we want to see which one we're going to do first.
What's first?
And so
here we have a flamethrower.
They had this little like video playing, and I was watching it, and they just were calling people out. It was so funny. So one of them is a cheap version of a Remington 700, and they're calling it their build your own gun system, right? Because they're going to sell each individual part separately, or you can just buy a whole gun, right? So you can mix and match parts from other manufacturers, right?
Nice. Yep.
And they're going to make it as compatible as possible with all the other Remington 700 bolt action stuff.
Nice.
They're producing one of their products is just like basically like they had it in 223, and they're like, what if we made it bigger? And so they made it in 308. And everyone was like, fair enough.
That's an easy step.
And then they were like, but what if we made it bigger and smaller at the same time? So basically, they took this 308 and made it a pistol.
What?
And everyone's like, sure. That was like a little bit like, okay, I guess.
A hunting pistol.
Exactly. Another one that I actually might buy is a Remington 870 style shotgun, pump action shotgun, but upgraded furniture. It's not wood stock anymore. It's got M-lock on the handguard, like all this cool stuff. A better operating system, in my opinion, than the 870.
Okay.
They're calling it the 570.
It's going down.
I don't know. I think it'll be their first foray into shotguns, though.
Okay.
The one that has everyone's panties in a the one that everyone's really, really excited for is well, let me give you a little backstory on this one. So HK produces the MP5 and the MP7, right? Which are some of the most iconic guns ever, right?
Yeah.
MP5, obviously everyone knows, Navy SEALs use it in all the old
It's military,
MP7,
a lot of militaries
same thing.
use it.
Special forces, really tiny, really cool looking gun.
Small gun, small bullets, really fast.
Yeah. And what happened was H&K was like, yeah, we'll make like a semi-auto version of an MP5, we guess, and sell it to civilians. But we're not going to do it with the MP5. We're not going to do it with the MP7. Everyone's like, but why?
But why? I want it.
But why? If not friend, why friendship? And they were basically like, yeah, no, we're just not going to do it. Like, we don't see a viability in there. And everyone's like, we will buy them.
Give them to us.
And so for decades, everyone's been like, HK's been like, yeah, no. Wow. And they will sue people who tried to make like a knockoff of it, basically.
Wow.
And so Palmetto State Armory was just like, well, fine, we'll make our own.
Okay.
And so they made one.
An MP7.
They made basically an MP7.
You just can't call it that because
it's not called that. I don't remember what they called it. It was some
name. Different letters that don't mean anything.
But it's a different caliber.
The DQ7.
It's a different caliber, so it shoots the same caliber as the P90.
Oh, okay. It's a weird caliber.
It is 5.7 by 28.
Yes.
So they have this 5.7 by 28 caliber, which they also produce a pistol that shoots that. Because FN produced the P90 and then also produced a pistol that shoots the P90 or shoots that caliber. Because when the P90 was produced, that was the point of the gun. Yeah. Was that your sidearm and your main gun held the same bullet, right? And that was like a military contract requirement. And HK did that with the MP7. That was the point of the MP7, was it was supposed to be that replacement.
Gotcha.
It was competing against the P90 and the whatever FN calls their pistol. Their pistol. I think it's just called the 5.7. I think it's literally called the 5.7.
5.7 caliber.
Yeah. So Palmetto State Army produced this gun called the Rock, which is their version of the 5.7. I think they literally call it the 5.7 Rock or something like that. I don't know. And then they were like, well, let's just fulfill this military contract from 30 years ago and make a. And so not only does it fire the same caliber as their 5.7 Rock, but in fact, the extended magazines from this gun work in the 5.7 Rock. And so you could have this pistol with a 30-round mag sticking out of it if you wanted to.
That's cool.
And I think the Rock mags also work in the. I think the magazines are interchangeable, which is kind of cool. And it's a really cool little gun, and it looks enough like an MP7 where you're like, that's an MP7.
It's an MP7,
but not enough where you're like, you're gonna get sued. Right? And so
that's clever. Then
everyone's really excited about that. I'll say one last thing about Palmetto State Armory is that I'm a huge fan of their CEO. Because he's like, I make enough money a year to do whatever I want, and also I'm not trying to gouge the customers. This is one thing that I've learned recently that is very frustrating about the firearms industry. The products themselves are not expensive to produce.
Sure.
Some of them are, obviously. The super high quality scopes. Some of the really complex guns are very expensive to produce and therefore require a higher price tag.
Yeah.
But the CEO of this of Palmetto State was like, the reason our products are all the same quality, if not better, and way lower price than all these other guys, is because don't price gouge these guys. I'll give you an example. He was saying basically like these other companies are making money hand over foot on their products, double, triple their actual cost to produce.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, we don't do that. We have a markup, obviously. We make a ton of money, but we're not gouging the customers. I'll give you a real life example. I was talking with an optics company, and I was asking them about their product. And everyone talks in dealer terms while you're there, right?
Yeah,
because it's a dealer show, and
that's really what
there's no retail sales going on. You can't just buy one of the products. You have to place, 100-unit purchase orders, stuff like that. And so basically I was like, so what is my cost per unit of this one optic? And they were like, oh, it's $100. And I was like, oh, that's really low. And I was like, okay, and what is like your MSRP, your retail price? And they're like, $250.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so if the consumer is paying $250, the middleman is paying $100.
Yes.
How much is that company producing that for?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're
$50,
at least
$35.
Yeah, but they can easily get away with.
So you're paying $250 for a $40, $50 optic.
Yeah, it's been marked up so much before it gets to your hands. Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's a good point.
And I knew that there was markup and that it was reasonably significant. I didn't realize it was that significant.
That much, yeah.
I thought we were looking at maybe 100%, maybe double the price. Not over that, though.
Yeah.
I was thinking 50% was a pretty good margin.
For any normal business, that sounds good, but
it was very interesting. So, anyway, that's my. See, do I have any other notes here? Oh, bunch of knives that were really cool.
Oh, sure.
Let me see if I have anything else here.
That was all your notes. You hit all the bullet points.
Let me see if I got any pictures of anything that I wanted to talk about. Palmetto State Armory, a knife, Scope Company, 1911. I met Grantham, which was cool. Met Caleb Francis, who's a cool guy. Yeah, that's
all right. Gun influencers were there.
Yeah, most all of them were there.
Sweet.
I was Grantham, super cool dude. Same with Caleb Francis. Caleb Francis was a sweetheart. He was a really cool guy. Let me talk to him for a couple minutes. Anyway.
Sweet. SHOT Show.
That's my SHOT Show 2023 synopsis there for you.
2024?
2024. You are correct.
Yeah, okay.
That was my bad. That was my bad.
Sweet. All right. It's a good review.
Yeah. I'll have to let you know if I place any orders with any companies. Yeah, I'm still going through all my goodies.
I'm gonna go look through Palmetto State Armory right now.
We should. They're pretty great.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Sweet.
All right. And that's an episode.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of the 5G Podcast.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see more.
And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.